Good evening and welcome to Suffering in Silence with Evangelist Tia on Love Faith Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Love Faith family, we are continuing to rise out of the ashes. Our topic on tonight is relationships after domestic violence. And we actually started this topic a few months ago. So on tonight, we're just going to continue it. We're just going to move a little bit further into it. Our co-host on tonight is Jennifer Peterkin, host of The Human Experience. And we have with us our guest, Minister Constance Perkins, who is also a Philadelphia police officer. Thank you both for being here. Listeners, if you have any questions or comments for our guest or co-host, you can email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com, or you can text us at 437-778-3299. If you have any resources that you would like to share with us on a national or local level from your country, your community, any local organizations or your faith community, you can also email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. And with that, Jen, if you would greet our listeners on tonight.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. It's so great to be back with Evangelist Tia and Miss Constance Perkins. It's been a while since I've seen you. It's great to see you again.
Wow. Yes.
As Tia said, my name is Jennifer Peterkin. I host my own podcast, The Human Experience, and the idea for The Human Experience was really born out of my own situation with domestic violence, which is also how I got hooked up with Tia in the first place. And now I'm just really excited and humbled to be walking beside her as she does what she does best in the world of advocacy. So The Human Experience is a podcast about how the things we live through, the journeys we walk through, shape who we are as people. So please feel free to check that out. We're on all major streaming platforms, podcast platforms, as well as Instagram as the HX Pod. And one of our first episodes is actually Tia being interviewed. So she was very trusting with me as I interviewed her. I had nothing to show her. I said, I have an idea. And she was very kind and walked beside me with that. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Connie, if you would greet our listeners.
Good evening, everyone. I am so glad to be here. Of course, my name is Constance Perkins, and I am a Philadelphia police officer and a survivor of domestic violence 2 times. As far as marriage was concerned, but I had been through it so many times and didn't realize I was going through it. So I just thank God for being here and you guys' platform that you've opened up to people who have an experience so that what we go through, we might be able to help someone else so that they won't have to go through what we went through. So I'm just blessed to be here.
Thank you. Left Bay, I also want to acknowledge how Connie has been a blessing, just to me personally, but to my baby girl, I have 5 children. I have 4 girls, 1 boy. My 4 oldest children, they're adults. But my baby is 10 years old. And when she met Connie, she was so happy. Because she says all the time, she changes her career path often, which is fine. She's gone from doctor to lawyer, to police officer, to pastor, to and EMTs. She's out there with what she wants to do. And I have told her, it's possible, whatever you want. And so yes, multiple careers. So when I introduced her to Connie, I said, Connie is a minister and a police officer. Look, and she was fascinated because Connie drives a nice truck. She likes trucks. So it was like, she could see it. It was in front of her. Like I can do this. So I just wanted to say you really touched my daughter. She talks about you. So what you do just for women and just for girls to be able to see you walking how you walk, doing what you do. You're a living, breathing example. So I just wanted to say thank you, on behalf of my baby girl, because she's just so impressed.
good thing because she has a good mom, and you don't try and, kill her dreams, or you're not this victim. You're not walking around like you're not, able to live after or survive after what you were talking about, life after. You're a great example of life after because you're doing the darn thing.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So Love Bay, as usual, we want to start with sharing some resources. But first, Love Bay, I want to share that I and Jen, we're in the process of raising funds for our nonprofit, Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. So if you would like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can do so through our GoFundMe fundraiser. You can go to GoFundMe, and you can look up Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. You can also send a cash app to Labaroness, $LABARONESS, or you can write a check to Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. If you decide to write a check, send an email to me and I will let you know where to mail it. But we're asking that you would please consider supporting us in this endeavor, because what we do, it takes finances to do it. And we all, and Connie included, what we do, we put our personal time and our personal finances into it. And now we're at a scale where we need more help. We really do. And the link for the GoFundMe, if you want the direct link, it is gofundme.com/rise out of the ashes Inc. Or again, you can just go to GoFundMe and look up Rise Out of the Ashes. So we would appreciate your help in that endeavor. Also, again, we have for you Pastor Darius Daniels. He's the pastor of Change Church. His website is dariusdaniels.com. His YouTube channel is Darius Daniels TV. And we have the National Teen Dating Abuse Helpline. Their website is loveisrespect.org. Their phone number is 1-866-331-9474. And then we have the Befrienders Volunteer Action to Prevent Suicide. To find a helpline by your country, you can visit their website, which is befrienders.org. So again, listeners, on tonight, our topic is relationships after domestic violence. And I think the first thing that I want to say, and then Connie, I'll give it right to you. I want to say that, and I'm thinking of romantic relationships. A romantic relationship is possible after domestic violence. But my thought on tonight is that, and I wanted to share this, it's possible, but it's not mandatory, because I've come across several individuals who are dealing with domestic violence on some level, or they have dealt with it, and they're thinking of moving into a new relationship, not because they actually want to be in a relationship, but because one, they're either just trying to prove a point to themselves that they can just do it and get it done, or other people are trying to force them into a relationship because they think that that is a sign that they are healthy and they're okay and you can move forward. But it doesn't work like that. If you want a relationship, a romantic relationship, it is absolutely possible, but you don't have to do it just to do it. And you can't do it without doing the work. You can't do it without going through your healing process. You can't do it without going through counseling, working through your emotions, working through the things that happen to you mentally, physically, emotionally, because you will go from one mess into another. Even if domestic violence doesn't appear in the next relationship, you can take some heavy baggage with you, and you can create or expand on some issues and problems that are already there. So I think I wanted to start with that yes, it is possible, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to do it just to do it. You don't have to do it because somebody else says, and you definitely don't have to do it just to try to prove to yourself that you're in a better place. And I would say, if you have that thought, that itself is proof that you're not in a better place, because that's not a good thought to have. So with that, Connie, I'll just go right to you on your thoughts.
My thoughts are healing first.
Yes.
I went through a period where I just held everything in after the first marriage, and thought that it would just go away,
Mm-hmm.
would just get better, the next person will be fine. And you tend to self sabotage things because one, you're not healed, two, you're used to a certain bad behavior that became normal to you.
Mm-hmm.
And also that, like you said, you want to do it because you think, okay, I have to get better. I don't want to let this person win, so I could do this again, you know. But the main thing is healing, and you don't heal just by, you know, taking some time and being away from people and isolating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you heal by getting some professional help. We need that. A lot of times we get, sidetracked, like, oh, I don't need this. I could just talk to my girls. I could just talk to my family, and they vent to their friends, but that's just talking about what happened. That's not healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for you to heal, you have to first learn that it wasn't your fault. You know, no matter what you did wrong in the relationship, it's never your fault for someone to abuse you. It's never your fault that someone took advantage of, your vulnerability. It's never your fault that, someone's, aggressive behavior made you feel uncomfortable, unloved, undesired, and unwanted. So, talking to your friends or just your family won't get to the deep rooted part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, Healing also comes because we're believers. It comes from allowing God in our heart to fill the void that we were trying to fill with the relationship or the marriage. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in a marriage, your spouse is not the end all to be all. You still need to have a relationship with God. You need to take care of yourself, because if that person is no longer there, or that person is not there for you to lean on or spend time with or talk to, you got to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it tends to happen to us women that have been abused. We tend to be clingy to the next relationship because it's almost like a coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to want to be around that person because you want to watch what they do and see where they're going, and you know you get anxious to see. It's like we're waiting for that other shoe to drop, you know so we're around them, or we spend more time with them, or we know where they are and what they're doing and things like that. So we tend to start, like you said before, Tia, is create problems in a new relationship when we weren't ready to move on. Like you said, you don't have to. You have to heal first, and you have to get that self care in your life. A lot of times we don't take care of ourselves, and we expect somebody else to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you know what that's like if you don't take care of yourself?
Right.
How do you know that they're doing the right thing? We just go with what they want to do, where they want to go, how they want to spend time. And then we're sitting there like, just frustrated because we don't use our voice. Because when you're a domestic violence victim, you tend to mute your voice in a lot of areas. if that person was controlling with everything you guys did, then you're going to be sensitive in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That person was controlling with everything you guys spent financially, everything, then it's going to be a area where you're struggling. You're going to be wary about voicing your opinion in that area. If you had a person that was, physically abusive, you know, your mindset is don't make them upset. Don't make them angry. Don't give them my, don't tell them what I want to do. Especially if you get, some resistance in the beginning, it's a trigger. It's
Yeah.
a trigger to say, oh, maybe I better not ask that question because I remember when I was with so and so and this, that, and the third. When I asked that question, he went off or he got upset with me. And the person that you're with may not be upset with you for the reason that you think, but you have it in your head because you're not healed.
Exactly.
You're not whole. You're reflecting on them, your insecurities, and that can totally sabotage the relationship. And then you're thinking that it's something that they did, but no, it's what you did. It's what you didn't do. You didn't walk towards your healing. You didn't go towards getting the help that you need. You didn't walk towards taking care of yourself. Pamper yourself. Take yourself out on a date. Spend money on yourself for the gifts that you want. So when it does come in a relationship, it's not this thing that, oh, well, he does this for me, so he's the best person for me. And you start looking at what they do for you, and then that makes you put up with things that they do to you that are not right. What they do for you. And if you don't, if you're not careful, you'll wind up in a situation, especially if they know that you've been through domestic violence and they know that that's a means that you feel timid. They will use things to intimidate you. Like I shared with my first husband that I had been through it before. I'm never going through it again. But he tried to use things to intimidate me, and that really pushed me over the edge. I didn't feel like I had to take that. So yes, my first marriage ended after 4 years. And I stayed because people were pushing me to stay and telling me I had to stay and, telling me I had to put up with this. Like the older people, well, my husband used to do this. And I've been through this and I stayed and da, da, da. It was a lot of older saints in the church that told me I needed to stay in my marriage, even though I was being abused. And it's like it was normal. It wasn't to me, it was normal to them because I didn't grow up with physical abuse in the household.
Mm-hmm.
I did grow up with some verbal abuse in the household, but it wasn't to the point where, you know, I thought that it was right. It was something in me all the time that knew it was wrong and I didn't like it. So that made me look out for that when I got into a relationship with myself. So when you share things with the person that you're, starting a new relationship with, you may not want to share everything. You can get to the point where you can have a serious relationship with someone without opening up your whole heart. The Bible says to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. We tend to want to, as women, we want to be more open to make them like us more and to make them accept us more. Here it is, they're asking us 50 million questions. Well, how was this? And what did you do with this? Did you, and they go through all the questions and they want to know about you. And then when you start asking questions, they kind of like don't really talk about it too much and get off the subject. And that right there is a sign that they want you to be open, but they don't want to be open. They're not ready to open up to you. So they're not ready to open up to you. Why sit there and open up all the way to them, and we expose ourselves, you know, to people who are or have been abusers. They may be saying in their head, "Hey, I got another one. I'm gonna slow walk this one because this one is not gonna leave me." And I've been in too many situations where those men say that and they mean it. So you have to watch as well as pray, but you have to watch what you say. You have to watch what you do. You have to be careful how much you share. If you're careful how much you share with someone, then you're vulnerable where you can't take that vulnerability back because you're opened yourself to it. The only way is you're not with that person no more, because once you let it out, it's out there. So I will caution a lot of women to not share as much, especially too soon. You got to take time. You got to get to know get to know their character. Get to know, hey, say something that maybe they don't like too much, and see how they handle you when they're upset. You got to test.
Yes, because you need to see a person in all of their dispositions, their attitudes. How are you when you're happy? How are you when you're angry? How are you when you are upset?
Yes.
But you don't want to open the door to yourself completely and fully give. I mean, real relationships take time. So in a matter of 2-3 weeks, no, he shouldn't have your bank account, your social security number, your your address, and even those things that really hurt you and caused you trauma. Unfortunately, some people take that information and they take time to gather it, and at some point may use it against you. You can honestly just share your heart on a matter. You can honestly share something that happened traumatic, and then unfortunately a person will use that against you later. And so eventually, if this is a relationship, if the two of you have decided, we've after you put time in, after if you're on the same page, after you've put time in, I do believe at some point there are some things that need to be shared, but you have to take the time and go through and make sure, first of all, that you're okay, that your heart is healed, and you're in a good place to do that. So much of what you share, you have to be a safe space. If you're going back and forth in your mind, should I say this? Should I share this? Will he be able to handle this? Will she be able to handle that? If you're questioning yourself, then no, you're not ready to share it, and they're not ready to hear it, because you shouldn't have a confusion. You shouldn't feel uneasy. If we decided, if we're together, if we've been through enough, we're going to walk this out. I shouldn't be apprehensive about sharing anything. So you don't ignore your feelings. Don't ignore any warning signs. Don't ignore if you're uncomfortable. Don't just push past it. Don't just say, I'm going to jump head first into this and I'm going to give it a go and we're going to see where it lands. No, that's a recipe for a disaster. And so much of what you shared earlier applied to me. I've only had 2 relationships. After my marriage, I had 1 relationship, and I was supposed to marry this person. I didn't, which is good that I didn't, because that, it just wasn't good. And had I done what I was supposed to do for myself when I left my marriage, I would have never entered into that second relationship, because I didn't go through my healing process. What I did was ignore the situation, and I just went about my life. I was like, I'm good. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to share anything with anybody. I wasn't even having conversations with people. I was just moving on in my life, which, ended up helping me to move into a situation that, just wasn't good for me, because even though I wasn't dealing with the issue head on the way that I was supposed to, I wasn't dealing with my emotions. I wasn't dealing with what actually happened. I was still trying to fill a void in my heart. And I was doing it. I guess subconsciously, the person that I was with, I'd known him, and I knew for sure that this person, he is not going to let anybody else hurt me. He is not going to let anybody else say anything to me out of the way. He's definitely not going to let anybody do anything to me physically. What I needed and what I was looking for was security. And I found that in him. I saw that in him. And so that's what I focused on. But I focused on that in an unhealthy way. I didn't deal with the reason why I was insecure in the first place. I didn't deal with the abuse. I didn't deal with the things that happened to me because I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't think I had to. I thought, I could just be good and just move forward. And so I moved forward with looking for what I thought was going to make me feel better. And it didn't, because there were issues in that relationship that I was overlooking, because it was like, I can deal with this because I dealt with that. And it just wasn't a good space until I just had that awakening for myself. I got to deal with me. I have to deal with what happened. I dealt with what happened, and then and that had to that made me deal with my present. I wasn't supposed to be in that situation, so I had to deal with that. But going through that process, it was not easy. So please, Love Bay, and none of us, we are not saying, and we have never said that it's easy to go through your healing process. It's hard, it hurts, it's scary. At times, it was shameful, embarrassing, didn't want to do it, but I did the work. I did the work. And now I'm at a place, today, I do want to be in a relationship. I do want to be married again. But, my standards are completely different. My boundaries are totally different. You can give me all the flowers and the gifts you want. That doesn't mean anything. You can say whatever you want. I talk to myself. I tell myself I'm beautiful. I buy myself flowers. I love roses. You can see the roses behind me. I buy myself flowers.
That's what I do also. I buy myself. You have to take care of yourself and find out what you like, because a lot of times when we grow up, we're told what to do. We're molded into what our parents think we should do. We're dressed the way they think we should dress. We are given what they think we should have as gifts and things like that. And then we first start in our beginning years, if the guy doesn't give us things or gifts and things like that, we think that something's wrong with him, and we think that he doesn't love us or he doesn't care about us enough. So we look at material things, and there's so many of our youth that are caught up in material things, and they think that this man has to come along and be their knight in shining armor when they can't even take care of their own selves. How can you expect someone to take care of you if you never taken care of yourself?
Yes.
You have to know what your limits are. You have to know what your goals are. I do thank God for a previous pastor who made us all, or told us all, or gave us instructions and encouraged us to do a dream book. Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? What are your goals? What do you want to do? And your plans, and you start getting and working on those things. And when the person comes along, they'll find you busy and doing what you need to do. And you won't attract a bum. You won't attract somebody that's just trying to leech off of you, and attract somebody that's trying to, you know, dampen your shine. If you shine bright, you're only going to attract the same thing, light. But if you're walking around in darkness and you're dreary and you're depressed and things like that, you're gonna draw those same kind of spirits to yourself. That's a spiritual thing that people don't acknowledge when it comes to relationships. You bring somebody in your space, spirits are transferable. I can sit in a room sometimes and I can feel somebody's negativity. And I know some people, you can kind of feel a vibe in the room, There's something you walk in the room and the vibe is not good, you know? So if your vibe is not good, people will feel it. And somebody might like that vibe because they feel in the same exact way. And you got two sad, depressed, lonely, angry, um, unhealed people trying to function in a relationship. That that's definitely a prescription for disaster. You know, you have to be confident in who you are. Know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God didn't make a mistake when he made you. No matter what size you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what you look like. When you look in the mirror, you got to say, I love you, and mean it. You got to love yourself first so you know what love feels like. Treat yourself to a movie. Treat yourself to dinner. That way you won't be impressed when some John Doe comes around and think he can do it themselves, or some Jane Doe. You know, a lot of women, they like to have the money now and they want a kept man and they want to put a man to a place, and then they're very abusive. There's a lot of women out here that do that for a reason, because it builds their self-esteem up. They want to be in control. They want to have a man that's henpecked and that's downright, you know, submissive to them. But that's out of order. That's out of God's order. You know, a relationship is supposed to be out about love. You submit yourselves one to another. You know, it's not about you do this and you do what I said do. You go where I tell you to go. You see who I want you to see. You know, they start trying to tear your circle down and make your circle small. That's the big red flag warning. Run for your life. Do not let people minimize who you have created, who God created you to be, and the you that you have become. You know, you like to get up in the morning and sit there on the side of the bed and play with your feet. You know, if that's what you like to do, then do it. Like, I get up in the morning and it takes me a while to get up, so I hit my snooze button. That drives my husband crazy. And I'll hit it, but that's what I need. So he deals with it and I love him for it. But when I tell you, it's who I am, you know. Be okay with who I am, and that's what they have to be, okay with who you are. But do you know yourself? Who are you? Get yourself a journal. Write it down. Talk to God. Talk to yourself. Write everything down and discover who you are. My likes, dislikes. Do a pro and con. The things that you like about yourself, the things you don't like about yourself. And then start working on those things. And the things that just you, anybody that comes into your life, they have to accept you for who you are. If they don't, then they can keep on stepping on to the next one. Because I'm not her. Sorry, I will not compromise with my integrity. I will not compromise with my humanity, my femininity. You know, whatever I decide that I want for my life, we're going to do this together and we're going to enjoy each other's things. We're going to be in each other's life. You know, you're going to cheer me on when I'm doing my thing, and I'm going to cheer you on when you're doing your thing. You know, it has to be somebody that really understands that you need what you need. Pastor that his name is Pastor Martin. He's a pastor at my church. He's not the pastor, he's one of the pastors, and he does Bible study. And he actually did our marriage breakfast we had. He spoke. And he said, I just want y'all to know that my wife understands that I am very needy. I need my wife. I don't like for her to go out with her friends. I don't like her to do this. I don't like her to do that. And he's joking about it. He was like, when she goes, he's just sitting there like, you gonna leave me? But he lets her do what she needs to do but she understands him and he understands her, and he broke down what she needed, and how he supports her in that. you know my wife likes to do this and I support her in that, even though I'm very needy. And he was vulnerable, and he shared that part of himself with us, and let us see that it's okay to let your partner see your vulnerability once you get to know them.
Yeah.
Once you have gotten to a place where you can share, like Minister Tia said, take the time. Don't do it right away. You share too early, or you close down and you don't deal with your issues, is going to be basically like an atomic bomb, because you will explode or they will explode.
Yeah.
It might not be a situation that you can recover from, because what my reality is, and I'm going to say this, and I want the women all around this world to understand, is that you might not make it out.
Mm.
Don't put yourself in that situation, because you might not make it out. And that's the reality. So many people don't. And your family and your friends, your loved ones, the people that care about you, they don't want to see you go through something like that. And
Yeah.
they don't get that phone call. That phone call is the most grueling phone call ever. I've had to watch people deal with that. In the generation that we're dealing with, we have to be on their level. I try and deal with, and reach the kids in middle school. I want to reach them, the middle school kids and the high school kids, because it's domestic violence even in their relationships already. Because they see it at home. Because they want to be like this, or they want to be like that, or they have insecurities and doubts, and it's domestic violence already. And they're not even teenagers, well into teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
You have just not you had a 17-year-old male. The girl broke up with him, 16 years old, and he went back to her house and he killed her and her mother. That's something that's so sad. People, please, if you see someone is aggressive, run. Get to know who they are before you get into a relationship with them.
Yeah.
No matter if you're 10, because that's too young to start, but some kids just like each other, and they just, they say, this is my friend. But your friend can be very abusive to you, very verbally and physically. Our children, we have to talk to them and find out what they're going through, and give them a safe space that they can come and tell you when it's somebody that's really, really stressing them out. Because then they'll rebel against you, because they're being controlled by someone else.
Yeah.
So you got to really make sure that you don't put yourselves in these situations, or your family,
Mm-hmm.
because that was a sad thing. That broke my heart. That really broke my heart to hear that family had to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important who you allow in your life, because your life is precious. Breathing is precious. Living is precious. You only get one life, and you got to live it to the fullest. Like we tell our children, like Tia was saying about her daughter, she changed her mind about different careers when she sees somebody that inspires her. But that's great, because she's aspiring to be somebody. She's not sitting around and just wanting to play with, dolls and things like that, and don't see something that she's aspiring to be. So it's a wonderful job that you're doing with her, that she's even looking at people and even thinking about her career and her life. You have to do that with your children. You have to talk about their future. A lot of times people say, oh, just let them be kids. They don't need to talk about that stuff. Well, they can be kids, and we can talk about some serious things, because we got to teach our children what abuse is, what to look for and what not to look for, because it's a heart-wrenching thing. I will share a testimony that as a dispatcher, was before I was a police officer, and I got a 911 call, And I heard a baby crying. And I kept saying, Philadelphia police, how can I help you? How can I help you? And it was a girl. And she was like, hello, can you send the police? And I could hear her mom in the background. Tell them our address is such and such and such and such. So I said, okay. Is your mommy okay? She said, no. I said, are you hurt? She said, no, but daddy is hurting mommy. And she was like, tell him he's choking me and tell him he has a weapon. So I'm relaying all of this. I'm typing as fast as I can, but I'm staying on the phone. And it's a little baby that's in the house with her. And I was like, well, who's the baby that's crying? Is the baby hurt? No, the baby's not hurt. I have her, but the cabinet is knocked down and I can't get to mommy. So could you please send the police? I said, I'm sending the police, but I want you to stay on the phone with me until the police get there, okay? Is your mommy all right? No, she's not okay. You know, he's hitting her. He's doing this. So she was like telling her every step to tell the police what she did. And that child could have just froze up and not said anything, not spoke or done anything. And the mother wouldn't have been able to, communicate with the police if she didn't call 911. So teach your children that if you see this going on, don't tell them not to say anything. Don't that's sending a message to them that it's okay. Unless you are afraid for their safety also, but you should teach your children how to get help when it's needed. You need to teach the children what's wrong and what's right. And you need to teach them by being an example, living a life in front of them, because I chose to get out because I did not want my daughter to think that was okay to live in a household with somebody that was being abusive to me, verbally or physically. And she was, when I was married the first time, she was a young child, and that's what really made me get out, when she seen what he was doing to me. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. I can't let her go through this. I can't put my child through this. So if you have been in those situations, don't just feel guilty about what you've done. Do something about it.
Yes. I think that is a perfect statement, to do something about it. The example that you gave earlier, I wanted to say something about that, and then Jen, I'll go to you for a question or your thoughts or comment. But when you spoke about the pastor sharing, in a joking way that he's needy, wants his wife, doesn't want to spend time away from her. I think that's a very good example. And I wanted to say that there is a difference between sacrificing yourself in a relationship and compromising with your partner.
Amen.
You may want me to go out. You may want to, you may want to watch John Wick tonight. I have some plans.
Yeah.
But, you understand that, I'm going to go and do, what I need to do or what I want to do. And it is absolutely okay to share your heart, to share your feelings. I want to be with you, but I understand if you go and do X, Y, or Z. And then on the other side of that, it's okay to compromise. Okay, so maybe I won't watch John Wick tonight. Maybe we can do something, together. But that's a compromise. That's not, when you sacrifice yourself, sacrifice means you're doing it all the time and you're hurting yourself. Okay, a compromise, we both come out of this feeling good, looking good, we're okay. Yes. Sacrifice, somebody's hurt, be it physically, mentally, or emotionally. Somebody is distraught on one end of this. So in a relationship, be you married or if it's a relationship and you've decided, we're partners, we're doing this thing together, there is a huge difference between compromising, which you should do. We should be able to come together. I might not be 100% happy. You might not be 100% happy, but we're going to do the best thing for us right now. That's completely different than totally sacrificing yourself. That's not good. That's not healthy. That is abuse. And you do not want to fall into that pattern. So I wanted to share that. And so Jen, do you have a thought or comment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm probably not going to say anything that hasn't already been said, but I think it's important to acknowledge that when you're in a domestic violence relationship, behaviors, whether that's a romantic relationship or not, any domestic violence relationship, behaviors become normalized that never should be normalized. So you start to experience things from your abuser, and it happens enough times, and you start to accept these behaviors and how you feel and what happens to you as normal. And then even when you extricate yourself, if you're able to extricate yourself from that relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is, without getting help, professional help, there is really not a whole lot of ways for you to kind of differentiate between what is normal behavior and what is behavior that you should never have been experiencing in the first place. So I think when we talk about identity and how our identity gets stripped when you're in a domestic violence relationship, when you come out of that, you really just don't even know who you are anymore. I would always refer to it as being a shell of a person. Like I didn't feel anything inside. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know how to feel. I was feeling everything and nothing at the same time. So I think it's important to, again, reiterate what's already been said, which is that you have to know yourself and you have to get yourself healing before you can do anything else with anybody else. The other thing I want to say is that it is 100% okay to want to be in a relationship. That is not a bad desire ever, to want to have a partner to walk through life with. It's not stupid. It's not foolish to want to find love. Adversely, it's also fine to not want that. It's also fine to have walked through a relationship, been hurt, and realized that's just not something I'm interested in entering into again. As long as you have walked through the process to get healing.
Yeah.
Any decision made outside of healing is probably not a great decision because you're probably not basing it in the correct things. You're probably basing it on how you currently feel out of this place of hurt and injury, which is totally understandable, but also not the best thing for you long term. I think if you choose to remain single, if that is something that you want, I just want to be encouraging to people that would like to choose that for themselves, because it can be really difficult when a lot of our self-worth, or a lot of our worth even socially, is tied to our relationship status, and not just relationship but parenthood status. It's okay to not have those things. It's okay to not want those things. It doesn't mean you're less than. It doesn't mean that you aren't good enough. It doesn't mean that what you're doing doesn't matter. And I think especially for women, so much of our worth can be tied into who we're married to and how many children we have. Which is, they're all beautiful things. But I just want to be encouraging for those that maybe are choosing to take a different path and choosing not to do those things, whether it be outside of a domestic violence relationship or because of a domestic violence relationship, that you've chosen that. Just that, it's okay to walk that path and do those things, again, as long as you're making your decisions from a place of healing.
Yeah. That, I think that was just beautiful. So, yeah. I mean, I won't even try. That was just beautiful. But as we were talking, I had another thought. We need to learn how to be friends. It's like you don't just, or you shouldn't just jump into a relationship, be it a long-term relationship, a marriage, or I don't know, just casual. Like, you got to be friends first. Like, can you be friends? And I think the foundation of a relationship should be your friendship. I don't want to be with someone who I can't talk to or I can't share everything with. Now I know there are, some issues when you talk about male, female, your partner may not get it, on that level. But if I can't communicate with you, if I can't share my heart with you, if I can't tell you what's bothering me, if I can't tell you what makes me happy, why are we together? If we can't have a conversation, it is any relationship based on sex is a problem. That's not a relationship. That's something waiting to blow up. But when sex occurs in a relationship, when sex is over, it's over. Then what? Like, can we have a conversation? Do we even like each other? Can you be in the same room? Can you talk? Can you watch TV? Can you go for a walk? Play games? Do whatever? Can you be friends? I never want to be in a relationship and I have to say this person over here is my good friend or my best friend, and then this is my husband. To me, that doesn't correlate. So I'm expecting for my husband to be my best friend. Now, I also know we both have to put work into that. We have to learn each other. We have to come together. We have to talk. We have to share. We have to grow to that point. And I mean, I am just so looking forward to the moments where, we just have our little dumb secrets that we have together. Like, what I mean? The little things that you do with your partner, like nobody else knows or understands why you're laughing. You just bust out laughing, just cracking up. Or maybe something, real is happening, something serious, and the two of you know, all you gotta do is look at each other or whatever. But that comes over time, and that comes, I believe, that starts out of friendship, and your friendship grows. So for me, I can't have somebody who I'm saying this is my best friend over here, and then that's my husband. I can't tell him everything. No, that doesn't. To me.
And that's important.
Yeah.
My first marriage was just that way. I got to know him romantically. He was a provider. He was doing all these things that impressed me, but I didn't know him. So when I did get to know him in the relationship, when it was over and I said to him that I wanted the divorce, I said to him, I've gotten to know you and I don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a reality. It was like, why didn't I find this out before I married this person or got serious with this person? I didn't get to know him. He was wondering about everything concerning me. And I looked at it as like, he's interested in me. He's concerned about me. But no, he was preying on me. He was wanting to know where I was going, what I was doing, how long I was going to be there, what time I was coming back. He started to buy my clothes. And at first I thought that was the most inspiring thing. My husband buys my clothes. He dresses me from head to toe. And I didn't realize, I kept saying, well, why are my clothes so big all the time? Extremely big. And I kept saying, why? And when I realized, I said, hello, a light bulb came on. He's hiding you. He doesn't want anyone else to see you. The shape. He wants you to look like I was wearing sheets all the time. And I just kept saying, he got the wrong size, babe. Next time, can you get me this size? Too big. I'm like, okay. And then he get me something else big. And I started saying, okay, I'm going to buy my own clothes. And then he didn't like what I bought for myself because it fit me the way it was supposed to fit me.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure, like you said, Minister Tia, and Jennifer, you have to make sure that you decide whether you want to be in a relationship or you don't. And you do, if you do, like you said, that person, best friend, shouldn't be somebody else. You got to have a relationship, and that takes time.
Absolutely.
And some people don't want to wait, and they're so anxious because they see the wedding and everybody else celebrating and dancing and all that stuff, and they want Well, the first time I got married, I wasn't concerned about a wedding. I got married in my pastor's study. The second time I went to City Hall, it wasn't about the fanfare. It was just that I'm in this relationship. I want to move forward, and I thought I was making the right decision, and I tried that.
Yeah. And even in that, just in that vein of thought, no person in their right mind, no mature person, no a mature adult goes into a real relationship saying, I'm going to mess this up, or I don't want this to work. I mean, you really you put forth your best effort.
Yes.
Having said that, you can't control what another person does. You can't control if he or she lies to you. You can't control if they cover themselves up completely, and then after you get married, then they show you who they really are. There are some things that you can't do anything about, but you can pay attention. You can ask questions. You can watch their behaviors. So you see, he's buying clothes for me and they're not my size. You see, he's asking me a bunch of questions, and when I ask him questions, he won't answer me. He's very evasive.
Yeah.
See, he's controlling. He wants to pick me up. He wants to drop me off. He wants me here at this time. There are some things that you can pay attention to, and don't gloss over it, because he's buying me gifts. He's giving me money. He bought me a car, or he's doing well, or she's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Or she takes me on the trip, and I can bring all my boys and we can just go and do whatever. Don't allow yourself to be bowled over with things that you should be doing or should be able to do for yourself, or things that just don't even matter in the first place.
Exactly.
So no, you can't do anything about someone, totally lying to you, because I know that has happened, that does happen, but
and not your fault.
And that absolutely is not your fault. I mean, I there are some horror stories of men and women who have gotten married, and on the very first night of their honeymoon, that's when they discovered this person is abusive. This person is a monster, and they had no clue.
No.
That is not your fault.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You have no. They can hide it, but for so long. That's why we're telling you guys, take time. See what they like, what they don't like. They might like some stuff that you don't like, and you just don't want to compromise with that. And that's okay. One thing that I was never going to be with is somebody that sold drugs or was a smoker. You have to have standards, and you have to live up to them. And your standards are okay, and you don't have to lower your standards to make somebody else happy, or make yourself think that if you don't lower your standards, and you're not going to get anyone. No, if you lower your standards, you're going to get just that, lower standards.
Exactly right.
You're going to get those people that are in category. So if you don't come up and have those people come up to your level, then you're going to get just exactly what you're settling for.
Mm-hmm. And in my case, I've said, like, Left Bay, y'all are just coming along with me on, this process. You were with me when I got my car and everything else, but I've said, I do want to be married, but I refuse to settle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not single now because I have to be. I'm single because I refuse to settle.
Yes.
And so whatever your boundaries are, whatever your standards are, it's okay. Don't let culture change you. Don't let your friends and family change you. People have tried to push me into relationships. Like, if you think he's so great, you be with him. You go do it.
Well, I would say I want to interrupt you real quick, because I want to say I'm so proud of you, Minister Dia, because you took your power back. That's what women have to do. They have to be confident enough to take their power back by saying, no, I won't compromise with this. I won't settle for that. I'm not going in that direction, because I've put myself in a place where I'm confident in who I am. And that's why I said, love yourself.
Yes.
So that somebody else will know how to love you.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I mean, I've said no to what I guess I don't want to say the average person, but some people would have thought this is great. Go do it. But I saw something and it wasn't for me. So just don't settle. Just absolutely just don't settle. I believe whomever is for me, he's there. Eventually he'll be here, and Love Bay, you'll know when he gets here. But I cannot settle, because to me that equates something not healed in me if I knowingly accept something or someone that I'm not 100% happy with. So it has to be more than money. It has to be more than your career. It has to be more than what you think or what you feel. How are you towards me? I've met some great guys. They were wonderful and they were all about themselves. Never once asked me, what do you like or what do you do? Like my nonprofit is very, very important to me. No questions. Oh, how can I help you? What can I do? Like nothing. Like that's not going to work for me. It's not. I'm very active in ministry, and I'm not saying that my partner will be a minister. I kind of I don't see how he won't be, but but he doesn't have to be, but he has to understand this is who I am. This is what I do. You have to be able to support me in that. And that's huge for me. Somebody else, it may be lower on your list, but I can't let that slide. I can't let my advocacy work slide. So it can never be. We never have a conversation about Rise Out of the Ashes. You never ask me about it. You're not curious at all. That doesn't make sense to me. I can't do that. Now by the same token, whatever his career is, his hobbies or whatever, I know I need to be involved in that. But that's what a real relationship is. And I think that's part of becoming friends and finding out, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, this is what I like, what I don't like, this is what I will never ever do. I'm not compromising on jumping out of airplanes. Nope, I'm not doing it. At one point I thought I wanted to try. I did indoor skydiving. I hated it. Like, if I hate the fake one, I know I'm not going to want to jump out of a real plane now. Something I'm just not going to do. I don't do amusement parks. I hate the rides. I'm not doing it. I'll go to an amusement park. I'll walk around. I can't be out in the sun for long periods of time. I get sick. So there are some things I can't do. I can't do, and I'm not going to do it.
If they care about you, they will be accepting what every quirk. Some women, and just to make light of it, some women belch out loud when they're eating something or drinking something, and some guys, they'd be like, oh, that's a turn off, or vice versa. If a man does it, it turns the person off, or whatever it is. It is who you are. Don't compromise that and not try and hide it and cover it up just to be in a relationship, because your true self is going to shine through too, just like theirs will. So you got to be true and honest from the door. That way they won't get the fake you and fall in love with the fake you, and then the real you come and they be like, oh, I don't want to drink.
Right, because you get tired of being fake. You
can't hold it up for so long. Ways. Yeah. Like, you gotta be who you are. And like Minister Tia said, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, I'm not jumping out of a plane and you're not getting ready to push me out of a plane. We're not. No, it's just how I am.
And that's the thing. Like, it's okay to have friends that like to do that, and it's okay to have friends of the same sex and opposite sex. When you're going through your process of healing, because those people can enhance your life, and you can see things in them that may make you say, yeah, that's my friend, but who? I wouldn't be with him or her. She my girl, but no
Yeah.
thanks. So that's what you can start doing also is, talk to your friends. They confide in you, find out the stuff you like and don't like by watching people and learning yourself. You
Yeah.
know,
And
learn
don't lie to yourself.
yes, don't lie to
Be
yourself.
honest.
Learn from your experiences. Like, that a guy that smokes, like I said, is a turn off. So why would I go out on a date with you? I'm not going out for waste of time. I can take my own self out to dinner. I can fix my own self a meal. So you're going out because you don't want to be out. You're bored of things. Take yourself out. Go out bowling your own self. Go to the movies by yourself. Everybody used to tell me, like, how could you go out by yourself or go on vacation by yourself? I said, because I love me.
Yes.
I love me. And I don't have to be with somebody in order for me to be fulfilled or feel important. God loves me, you know? And that's something that a lot of women don't take the time to do. Their whole world revolves around their family, their children, their spouse, and they never take time to get to know themselves, and then they're miserable.
Yes.
They're miserable in their situations, and that can cause friction and cause problems to happen in a relationship. And somebody who's never been an abuser may become one, or you can become the abuser because you're not happy in your situation and now you're trying to control it, you know? So look at yourself in the mirror and get to know who you are, because you might just be the abuser.
Yes, and it takes a lot to be honest with yourself. I want to make one final point, and Jen, I'll ask you to follow up on it as we close. But you mentioned friends of the opposite sex, and I wanted to say that it is absolutely healthy, normal, and it should be that if you are in a relationship, whether you're married or not, you should have friends of the opposite sex. And someone coming into your life who systematically gets rid of your friends of the opposite sex, something is wrong with that. That is not normal. That is not healthy. If a man comes into your life and he says, "I don't like this guy, I don't like that guy," you really need to pay attention and you need to understand what's going on around you. Now, I know there could be situations where somebody, maybe they really are underhanded. Maybe they really don't mean you any good. Maybe they really are trying to cause some issues, relationship or your marriage, and you do need to deal with that. But if somebody systematically, all of your male friends have to go, and you can't tell me why you think this, why you feel this way, and it's not a conversation. It's like you get rid of this number, get rid of this person, never see him again, never talk to him again, never talk to her again, just gone. Something's wrong with that. That is not normal. And I believe in order for you to have a healthy relationship, you do need to have friends of the opposite sex. You do. It's normal. It's healthy. And I mean outside of family. All of your friends should not be your blood sisters. All of your friends should not be your blood brothers. um, you should be able to have a world where you do have platonic friends and you may be close to some, and that's okay. I mean, as long as you are not crossing any boundaries that violate your relationship,
Mhm.
there's something wrong with someone telling you that you can't have friends of the opposite sex. That's abuse right there. um, and I know we are over the hour, and so Jen, I want to give you the last word, final thoughts before we leave for tonight. But thank you so much, Connie, for being with us and having this conversation. So with that, Jen, I'll give you the last words of the night.
Sure, I've got 3 things in my head. The first is that your worth is not predicated on your relationship status, whether you're in one now or you've never been in one in your life. The world likes to tell you that it is. A lot of other people like to tell you that it is, and it's not. Your worth is in who you are in God, and your identity in as being made in the image of God. Don't ever, ever, ever underestimate your intuition. Your gut feeling is there for a reason. And I believe it is a God-given gift, because 9 times out of 10, your intuition is correct. Your gut feeling is correct. Follow that gut feeling. And then lastly, I would just say, don't get so caught up in the big picture of what you think you want in your future, that you forget to live right now and forget to be involved and engaged in the relationships and the people that you have sitting right before you, because life is short. It goes by really quickly, and don't miss out on opportunities that are sitting there because you're wishing for something that, you think you want, and you may want it, you may not once you actually get it. So just live where you are, be where you are, and life can be a really beautiful thing. So and the people around you are there in that season of life for a reason.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Connie, for being with us. Love Bay, if you want to catch up on previous episodes from our program, you can visit our YouTube channel, Suffering and Silence DB. Also, if you want to give to our fundraiser, you can go to GoFundMe and look for Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. Thank you so much for joining Suffering and Silence with Evangelist Tia on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Love Baby wants you all to remember that we're rising out of the ashes together. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Thank you so